Hello and welcome. My name is Rashi Mogha and I am your host for this Empowered Women of the World podcast. This podcast is for you, it is for me, and it is for all women who want to take charge of their career and happiness. In this podcast, we'll talk about technology, we'll talk about leadership, and we will talk about mindfulness. We will talk about how you can discover, visualize, and actualize your success, whatever that means to you. We will also talk about our common opponent, the conscious and unconscious bias, which we deal with on a daily basis, and we'll share ways to navigate work politics. At the end of each podcast, I will share with you a tip or a free resource that you can use to be successful. It's going to be a fun ride, so hop on and join me on this journey every week. In today's podcast, it's actually part 2 of Demystifying Cloud Computing. In the previous podcast, we talked about 3 primary layers of cloud computing: the IaaS or Infrastructure as a Service layer, PaaS or Platform as a Service layer, and SaaS, Software as a Service layer. Today, we are going to talk about public, private, and hybrid cloud and some common myths associated with cloud computing. But before that, why are enterprises, small and medium businesses, and startups gravitating to the cloud? Besides the obvious benefits of scale, high availability, and reliability, businesses are moving to the cloud to increase business agility, for cost savings, and for improved performance. Most businesses also realize that IT is not their core competency, and by moving to the cloud, they can refocus their resources on their core businesses. So in a public cloud is essentially based on the standard cloud computing model where a cloud vendor such as Oracle makes resources such as bare metal resources, virtual machines, storage, and or applications available to general public over the internet. Public cloud services may be offered for free or they may be offered on a pay-per-usage model. Now, private cloud refers to a model of cloud computing where IT services are essentially provisioned over private IT infrastructure for dedicated use of a single organization or an enterprise. A great example is Oracle's Cloud at Customer offering, and these private clouds are perfect for financial institutions, for government cloud, for defense services, where data confidentiality is a prime requisite. Hybrid cloud is a cloud computing environment that uses a mix of on-prem, private cloud, and then the third-party public cloud services with an orchestration between the two platforms. So essentially, in a hybrid cloud implementation, your on-prem environment is talking to your public cloud architecture. Now, I talk to a lot of customers and cloud enthusiasts who are contemplating the move to the cloud. Everyone is excited and they know that the move to the cloud is inevitable, but they have questions on what does moving to the cloud entail. So I thought it would be worthwhile to talk about some myths associated with cloud computing. Now, the first myth that I hear about is that cloud is less secure as compared to the on-prem solution. Now, security risks in the cloud are same as those faced by the traditional IT solutions. In the cloud, the customer and the cloud vendor share the responsibility of security. Now, there's a concept that's called the shared security model, wherein the customer and the cloud vendor essentially are responsible for the security. They have tasks assigned to each one of them, and they're responsible for data credibility and security. Now, the second myth is about cloud being cost effective. While moving to cloud might save money, many customers decide to move to cloud because of agility and performance benefits. When you move to the cloud from an on-prem environment, essentially you move from a capital expenses or a capex model to an operating expenses or an opex model. So make sure to assess what your total cost of ownership, or TCO as it is called, is going to look like when you move to the cloud. Another myth that I often hear about is you need to move everything to the cloud. Now, typically when you start the move to the cloud, you start at a project level and move a small workload or a dev and test environment to the cloud. You should typically pick a project where you can see the results immediately, say within a few weeks. And once that move is successful and meets your requirements, you then identify which other workloads would be best suited for the move to the cloud. Bottom line, you do not have to move everything to the cloud in one go. And another myth that I hear about is moving to the cloud is easy. Moving to the cloud is anything but easy for enterprises. It is not just about technology, it's also about people and processes. You need to consider a lot of factors such as data migration, business-specific capabilities of the solutions, change management, governance, systems integration, security, and workforce enablement. So when you plan to move to the cloud, I urge you to take a holistic approach and prepare your team and stakeholders appropriately for the change. Now, I hope this podcast helps address some myths about cloud computing, and it also provides you with some considerations or some things to think about when you start thinking about moving to cloud. And for today's free resource for you, I have a link to the I Built It in the Cloud videos. These 5 to 7 minute videos are a great way to understand how some enterprises have architected their cloud deployments using Oracle Cloud Infrastructure Services. The link is in the show notes below, so check out these videos. Thank you for joining me today, and thank you for loving, liking, sharing, and supporting this podcast in 2018. Remember, sharing is caring. I love your feedback, emails, and messages. Our audience is growing exponentially each week, and we have a lot of requests for new topics, which is awesome. I look forward to seeing you again in our next podcast in the new year, 2019. Have a wonderful, happy, healthy, and peaceful new year, and keep empowering the world.